Hey there. So I wanted to introduce you to a gentleman that I just met recently. He's an awesome guy, and I found out that he wrote a book, that he's a coach, and that we share a mutual coach, Mr. Myron Golden, Dr. Myron Golden. In fact, that's where we met at one of his events. And I wanted to introduce him to you, Mr. Gerren Power, who wrote a book, Talk Less, Communicate More.
Yep.
All right, good. So, Gerren, tell us a little bit about the book, why you wrote it, what inspired you, and some key takeaways for people who might be interested in learning how to communicate better, talk less, and grow in the way that they communicate in both life and business.
All right. Well, first of all, I would like to say that kind of the concept of the name was kind of a God idea, kind of just dropped into me in prayer one time.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole purpose of the book is I've learned, and we all do this without realizing this, become more aware that we've all learned how to talk, but we haven't really learned the master of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes in different areas of life, we know how to talk things in talk ways, but because we can't effectively communicate, we can't get as far as we would like to get. Right. So recognizing that's where the book kind of described, that's where the book kind of, the inception of the book came.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, talk less, communicate more, how to create connection through communication.
Okay.
And so in it, I give you tips and tools and strategies, not to not be you, but be your authentic self and be able to be comfortable in your communication style and who you are. So if you're more introverted, I'm not trying to make you an extrovert. I'm trying to be authentic in who you are, as being an introvert, being laid back, but be effective in your communication so that you achieve more success in every aspect of your life. Conflict resolution, relationships, personal, and those matters. So that was where the concept of the book kind of did.
Okay, cool. And then there's a like a guidebook that goes along with a companion workbook that helps you kind of work through some of the questions that you're asking in the books.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did a workbook with it as well, so that after you read, oftentimes we read a book, we think it's really good, and we move forward from there. We kind of get one or two bits, but I was like, creating a workbook allows you to, if you're serious about investing the time in doing it, creating a workbook allows you to ask authentic questions, gives you authentic questions, and if you're transparent, only you're seeing it. So just between you and the workbook is to be able to write the things that you recognize about yourself and how to overcome them, and recognizing the cues and signs of how you are. Oftentimes we're hesitant to do a lot of things because we have a perceived notion of the response. Mm-hmm. I call it, we imagine a reality, we live in that reality.
Right.
And so because of that, we don't say what we want to say because of the reality we created. That's not even the real reality. So it's almost instances like, if I want to ask you for a cup of water, or I want to have a drink of your water, I naturally assume that you'll say no, so I won't even ask.
Right.
And so you were willing to give it to me, but the problem is that because I'm assuming you're gonna say no, I won't bother asking, hey, can I get a drink of your water?
Right.
And that's something as simple as that. I'm using that for the prime example of this thing, but it goes into so many different aspects. Oftentimes we imagine the outcome, so because of that, we don't ask the question, and we don't communicate effectively how to get the result we want. And if we learn how to effectively communicate, we learn how to get more in life.
So give me an example, like you coach business leaders, executives, kind of help them in their communication process, to help them better communicate with their employees, to help them better communicate with clients, connect with them, I assume negotiation skills. Give us like some practical applications and ways in which you help these CEOs or C-suite leaders in improving their leadership, improving their communication, so they're able to grow their business.
So one of the things that leaders do, and we're great at doing this, is that we're trailblazers and we're seeing a vision and we're pushing forward. But just because we do that, it also means we're sometimes not a good listener. Mm-hmm. And the challenge of it is that we have a vision and we're pushing towards a vision and we don't want to listen. And so when we take a step back and we say, okay, who's around me? Who did I bring on my team that's going to benefit the whole vision as a whole? So I have you on my team. I have the employees. What do they see that I don't see? Because if I put you in a position, you know more about the position than I do, because you know the details of it, and I don't. But if I just go in there and just say, I need this done, and it's not possible to do, or you don't have the manpower, whatever the case may be, having effective listening skills allows you to better adjust and to better accommodate the situation or the people that you have to get more results.
Okay,
And
so how do you develop these listening skills?
well, if you're good at talking, the first thing to do is, and I say it's the blunt way possible, is to shut up. Right? And not have a preconceived notion. So if we're having a conversation, I'm not going to naturally assume, I'm not going to be concrete in my thought process the way it should be done. I'm going to be open and fluid like water to be able to listen to results, listen to feedback, listen to the way things are, listen to what the people around me say, and then formulate a response or a conclusion based on what I've learned or what I've heard. Okay. And so by doing so, it allows you to be, it allows the people that you're around you to feel like they're heard. It's not, and most people want to feel heard. Let me just say that. And for leaders, we have to recognize that if they're heard, even if we don't take their ideas, the fact that they know that they're heard and they can come to you, because they will know that, okay, I can go to my boss, I can go to my leader and ask and give suggestions and say, oh, okay, that's a great idea. Oh, okay, that's a great idea, but we can't use that. I like it, but maybe I'll implement certain parts of it. Mm-hmm. And it gives everybody a freedom to build. And as long as we as the leader or the CEO or the executive is willing to listen and open up to being listening, then you get a lot further. It's the same thing with negotiations. In negotiations, it's the give and take. It's like, are you aware of the situation? Are you aware of the assignments? Are you so dead set on certain things to where you're not willing to pay attention to the key things that people say? And you're not allowing yourself to use your gifts that's inside you for your decisions and all that stuff to change and alter to the fact that where I can be more effective to you. I was this morning where I was talking to someone and he was saying a suggestion about something and I was listening to him and I go, hey, why don't you try doing this, and this as well to add to what you're doing? And he was like, that's a great idea. I never thought about that. But if I wasn't listening, I wouldn't have been open to say, if I was like, oh, you should do this and kind of go your way. But if I wasn't listening, I wasn't open to saying, you know what, that's interesting you're saying. Okay, here, let me add some value to that. And then he was like, wow, I never looked at it that way. I'm gonna implement that immediately. And that's what most people want, is just to give a suggestion, just to give a tip. But you have to be keen to listening. And I can't stress that enough, because communication is all about listening more than speaking. Talk less, communicate more is the aspect that. Sometimes we're quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. So if we listen quickly, and I also add on top of that is to don't let your emotions lead the conversation.
Okay. So
we make it to where we put our emotions to the side, and is it truth or is it fact? Is it a true statement or is it a factual statement? And can I take it as is and not take it personal? Like if I say, I don't like your hat, I'm just using it for example. Okay, maybe that's not my style.
Sure.
Compared to that's your style. And you get around something, and so, okay, why don't you like my hat? That's just not my style. Okay, I get it. It's different than you saying, how dare you not like my hat? Well, it's just a different mindset we have. And so it's about shifting the focus and the mindset of how we've done things to get to better results.
Gotcha. So is a big part of listening asking the right questions?
Yes, that is a huge part. And when you're listening, listening creates questions. If you have an inquisitive thought process, oftentimes we're not inquisitive enough, or we're not wondering how certain things work. So because of that, we just push forward ahead. But if we could sit there and say, if we're asking any conversation and you're listening and you're like, okay, well, how does that work? Like a question simple is like how. Like, okay, how do you do that? How do you do this? How do you explain it to me? I remember one time I was talking to someone, we're talking about a business idea, and he kept saying, I can't see it. How do I see it? Like, show me how to see it. That's what he kept saying to me. And I'm like, okay, well, and I'm like, I'm not taking it personal. I'm like, God, you should get it. Right. I was more so like, okay, how do you receive things? Knowing you decent enough, how do you receive it? Or how can I break it down in a way we can understand? So break it down little by little, more by more, bit by bit, until you start seeing the picture clearly. I used to work in the software field for 20 years, and when I was working in there, I would always say all my documentations are written as that of a fifth grader.
Right.
I said, no, first grader. I said, because who can't understand a first grade writing?
Yeah, right.
I was like, so if I break it down and not try to sound prolific and profound, but I break it into first grade language, I'm not offending nobody, and it makes it easy to understand. But I only can do that if I listen correctly, ask the right questions, and that produces results. So now we get on the same wavelength to move forward. Because once we get on the same wavelength, same wavelength, it's easier to move forward with less bumps and turbulence.
Sure. So how would someone know that they needed this book? Like the kind of problems, the challenges that they're experiencing, you're a leader, you're not getting the results that you want to get. Why should they, why is this book going to help them in their leadership?
Well, I like to say, like, there's no one book that solves all issues.
Sure.
So this is the goal of this book is a stepping stone. And a stepping stone to wanting to learn more. I'm sure there's better communication books out there. I'm sure there's better communication speakers out there. And but I'm okay with that because I'm in my lane. But I can learn from those people too. So I'm not in competition with them, but I'm just helping them get it. I'm just putting it out there to help people get to the next stage in life.
Sure.
And I think the biggest challenge, I was talking to someone the other day and I said, the biggest challenge of school is that we so put our mind the way we read. When we get out of school, we never want to read. And so we stop at the level where we stopped at and we're learning. And I said, change your mindset. I said, change the way you look at reading and look at it as a growth process, a journey. And so everything you look at life, it's a journey. And so we want to grow in that journey, and we can always grow better in communication. We could always grow better in talking. Through my trials and tribulations in life, if I wasn't able to look back, like, I could be better at doing this better. I could be better at doing this. Even in relationships, even in jobs I lost or got fired or I quit. Yeah. How can I do it better? And how can I learn from this and grow as a person that's better for my either personal relationships or in my profession or in my entrepreneurial lifestyle to where I can be more effective and get further in life.
Right. So, who is your typical avatar? Who do you feel like you help the most, you've been able to connect with the most to get them from where they are to where they want to be? Like what audience are we talking to here that needs to get the book, that needs to touch base with you, reach out to you to get some help in their communication?
So usually I want to say I want to everybody, but that's realistically it can't be possible because you can't touch everybody. So I usually do between 35 and 50 males, women, executives, professionals, entrepreneurs. In those, that's my usual realm, because those are the people that are like going to the next stage. And it's interesting dealing with someone, and you've done it, being an entrepreneur when you first start off. You're not where you're supposed to be. You're at where you're at, and you got to become that person.
That's right.
And the whole aspect of being a human being is being a better human being, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of focus on that area for the next phase. Usually people are entrepreneurs. I learned when you go younger, they're still trying to figure themselves out. They don't want to hear what you say.
Sure.
And so I stay in that range.
Sure. So if people know that they need to develop their communication skills, they need to be better listeners, they need to learn how to ask better questions, how is it they can connect with you? How can they? I know that the book is not yet, it's brand new, and it's not really in Barnes & Noble, it's not on Amazon quite yet, is it? Not
quite yet. I'm in the next stage of putting it out, probably in the next week or the next 2 weeks, whenever this comes out.
Okay.
But you can always reach me on my Instagram, Gerren Power.
Gerren Power, Instagram.
Gerren Power.
Gerren, that's right.
You can go on my Facebook. I'm there. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And then you can find me in there. By that time, this record's out, it'll be out and published.
Okay.
And I'll have a website for it and everything. It'll all be on there.
The name of the website?
I'm kind of challenging on that one because the ones I'm using I have to pay a lot of money for.
Right,
so I'm looking at. I just won't say it because I don't want people to go there.
Okay.
So it'll be on that website, but most likely it'll be Talk Less Book. Or communication is key.
Okay.
.com, something to that realm.
They'll find it on your LinkedIn,
exactly.
or I'm sure you'll let us know on Instagram. So, okay, cool. Well, Gerren, it's been awesome, and glad to be able to support you. And
definitely appreciate it.
I hope people who are struggling in their communication, who want to take the next level, if you're in leadership of any kind, we all know that we need to get better at communicating with our employees, communicating with our clients, our customers, negotiating deals, all those kind of things. Gerren can help develop those skills and help you on that journey to being a better person and being the person that is going to make a difference in the marketplace. So, thanks again, Gerren.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care.